I'm gonna draw the window
I'm
down.
done talking with you. Shut the door.
Can I draw the window down?
No, roll the other window down.
Hey, sir, you slammed the door on my dog. And that's all I'm recording.
I'm gonna put you in
That's
jail.
all I'm recording for slamming on the dog.
I didn't slam it on
You
the dog.
dog? Yes, you did.
You
Have it
had
on
a hold
recording.
to get in the door.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all going to jail. Y'all going down. This town going down. Yeah, this town going down. Man. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Y'all remember that guy that was in the 18-wheeler and his 18-wheeler almost got flipped because he showed up at a landfill site too early? They just had a press conference. Let me tell you the whole story. Number one, his name is Joseph Joins. Now, what happened was Mr. Joins showed up at a landfill site at 6:30 a.m. Now, this was before the site opened, but he was told that he can stay there by an individual that was on site because it was so close to opening time. Now, the property owner's son, he showed up. And he told him, listen, you have to move. We're not open yet. And he was very upset about it. But Mr. Joins actually said, hey, somebody told me that I could wait because you're about to open. But the owner's son said, no, you're going to have to not only go out, but you're going to get to the back of the line. Mr. Joins at one point, he gets down and he begins to go and talk to whoever it was to clarify some things. So the owner's son pops back up and said, hey, do you have my phone? And Mr. Joins is like, no. He said, you know what? You can even check my truck. I don't have it. Now, he was already a little afraid because of the fact is he had a pum on his side. Plus, there were now 5 other guys with him. He then allows him to check his truck. They can't find the phone because he says, you know what? I don't have it. Well, by this time, they're screaming at him and they're getting super aggressive. And like I said, it's about 5 of them against this one individual. And at this time, he's already started dumping, so his back end is already down. This man is now walking around with a pum out of the holster and screaming and yelling and really going after him. Mr. Joins feels super threatened. He has his little puppy in the truck with him, and so he tries to take off, but because the back is down, it's only going about 3 miles an hour. Now, before he tried to take off, there was a guy there that said he was one of the deputies or the sheriff and said if he didn't want to get arrested, he might want to get himself back in the truck and shut up. The deputy even goes so far as trying to shut the door and slams the door on his dog. And poor thing, you can hear the dog screaming. Well, this is where it gets crazy because at the press conference, he goes into more detail of everything that took place. Do you know that there was a second individual that was actually assaulted because Mr. Joins begins to run and he runs across the street to where he was supposed to be waiting because now they've tried to flip his 18-wheeler with 2 bulldozers. So he runs across the street into another truck of the same company, into another truck where there's a woman by the name of Angelica. Well, the guys still aren't finished because they chase him across the street with the pum and they're banging on the truck with the pum and they're also scaring Angelica and she tells him to leave because she doesn't want to get hurt. Angelica then calls 911 to get the police there and he ends up somehow running back to her truck because he was so scared. And you can actually see in the video where he's screaming, please, please don't. And they're like, well, why are you running if you don't have the phone? And he's like, because I'm afraid for my life that you're going to do something. And he said, no, you're going to rot in jail. Like he's telling him all these crazy stuff. Now, mind you, they still have not found the cell phone on him or in his truck. Now, Angelica tells him, listen, I did call 911 and they're on the way. Now, these 5 guys have not only almost flipped his 18-wheeler with 2 bulldozers because he was on an embankment. So if they would have been able to flip the truck completely, he would have rolled down and possibly have been unalived. So he had every right to fear for his life. And Angelica wasn't sure either what was going to happen because they were beating on her truck with the pum and they were yelling out crazy things like as if they were going to hurt them. So now they have 2 individuals that were really fearing for their life. Well, when the cops get there, they then begin to interrogate Mr. Joins. Wait, hold on. Isn't he the victim? But remember what I said. There was a sheriff already on scene, and he was a part of the crew. They search him. They pat down Mr. Joins, and no one is ever arrested, even after they try to flip his 18-wheeler down an embankment. Even after they chased him around with loaded pum-pums. Even after they were yelling out nasty derogatory things. But still nothing happened, so they got lawyers. And we will definitely follow along with this story. They recently had a press conference. You can go view it on his site. It is crazy to hear the details of everything and everything that happened. Thank you for listening. This Lady Queen back with news. Bye, guys.
Hey, Echo family, how you all holding up? Thanks for tapping in again. Credit goes to the original creators and stitchers who brought this story forward. Without grassroots reporting, incidents like this often slip under the radar. Today we are diving into a disturbing update of a black trucker and a white family and a whole town in the middle of a serious legal and moral reckoning. So guys, let's dive into the rest of the video and we'll be back for more commentary.
2.5 years, and I signed a contract to drive mulch debris from Hurricane Helen in June 2025. I was loaded with mulch the night before I was loaded with mulch and I spent the night before at a truck stop with a planned trip to TBD Landfill in Hayward County, North Carolina, the very next morning. I arrived at TBD Landfill about 6 a.m. on June 26, 2025. This was my first time I had ever been there. I didn't know the procedures for staging on the road, so I drove right to the gate. When I got there, one of the TP employees came up to me a few minutes later and told me that I should have staged outside of the landfill at an Ingles grocery store. But since it was my first time there, they were about to open the gates in about 20 minutes or so I could remain in place. About 10 minutes later, a man I later learned was Andrew Ferguson pulled up in a pickup truck and told me that I was there too early and I would have to go all the way around to the back of the line. I told him that I was told I could remain there until the gates opened, but he angrily told me to move, so I did. After moving the truck, I waited my turn in line. While I was waiting, I saw a line of pickup trucks pull up and block me in. About 5 men got out and walked to my truck. One of them was Andrew Ferguson. He had a gun on his hip. Andrew came up to my truck and asked if I had his cell phone. I told him I didn't, but he insisted that I did. I told him he could search my truck if he really thought that I had it. He searched my truck and didn't find it. I even suggested that he call his phone from another phone so that he could find it.
You took my phone. He said 30 to 40 minutes of him accusing him of taking his phone and demanding to search his truck before he finally says, fine, just search my truck. And the guy doesn't find the phone. Then his dad shows up. They check the cameras and go, okay, and let him go. He goes to dump his load, just like this is ridiculous. In the meantime, that guy apparently finds the phone, according to him, on the ground outside where his truck was. Like he couldn't have dropped it there? No, he assumes that he stole it and then had thrown it by the truck. So he comes flying up the hill with the same 5 guys again and starts threatening him. And then they get 2 bulldozers and flip over his trailer.
And you know I'm gonna address it. Let's talk about real-time racism. By North Carolina, it looks like y'all gonna be held accountable for that company now. On June 28, 2025, black truck driver just doing his job, delivering his load. He was just delivering mulch, gets targeted. I mean, as soon as he arrived, he was targeted, intimidated, and attacked by TBD dump site, owned by 2 base developers. And the man in the center of this, a racist. They say his name is Andrew Ferguson. Caught on video, caught in the act, and it's just about time that the world sees it. This driver shows up early to do his job. One of the employees said, no problem, we'll open soon. That's it.
I'm gonna put it like this. When I saw that video of that truck driver at that dumping site in North Carolina, that shit really, really fucked with me. Cause you know, I'm a truck driver and I'm black. And I've had customers get shitty with me. And I put them motherfuckers in their place right then and there because the way I look at it, fuck a job. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. And I'm not trying to say, oh, I would have did this or I would have did that. No, that's not what I'm trying to say, because everybody deals with a situation different. He did the right thing. He kept his cool. And you know, these motherfuckers had guns and all that shit, doing all that old Jim Crow South white boy shit, you know what I'm saying? The way I look at it, why didn't you just ask the brother to leave? You know what I'm saying? If you was that pissed off at him, then why didn't you ask your brother to leave? Why was all that shit necessary? Taking 2 bulldozers and flipping the man's truck over and all that screaming and hollering and shit. You know, truck drivers go through enough bullshit as it is. It's a stressful ass job, and that's an example right there of why truck drivers be so goddamn stressed out. Because we got to deal with assholes like that on a regular basis. At least 3 times a week, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. They probably would have ended up using them pew-pews on me, because I know I would have snapped like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Welcome back, fam. So let's talk about Joseph Joynes, a truck driver who arrived at a landfill site a little before it opened. He was told by someone on site that it was okay to wait, so he did. But shortly after that, the property owner's son showed up, insisted he move to the back of the line, and things escalated from there. Now, this isn't just a story about someone being told to wait. According to the account, Mr. Joynes was approached by a group of 5 individuals, including the son of the property owner. One of them was visibly armed. That alone already shifted the tone from what would have been a misunderstanding to something that felt like intimidation. At some point, one of them accused Mr. Joynes of stealing a phone. He offered to have his truck searched. No phone was found, yet the aggression didn't stop. According to the recounting, they began yelling, drawing weapons, and physically intimidating him. We are talking about 5 people surrounding one man, a man who is just trying to do his job. At this point, it's not just about property, it's about power and fear. Joynes, reportedly terrified and with his dog in the truck, tries to drive off. But because his trailer was in the dumping position, he could only move slowly. Now, here is where it gets chilling. 2 bulldozers allegedly tried to flip his truck. And we are not talking metaphor here. They tried to physically flip an 18-wheeler on an embankment that could have easily resulted in death. What made this worse? One of the people involved reportedly claimed to be law enforcement, and when actual police arrived, instead of protecting Mr. Joynes, they allegedly searched him, the victim. This raises an old but persistent question. When black folks say they don't feel protected by the system, moments like this explain why. Not only was Joynes terrified, but when help arrived, it didn't look like help at all. Another driver named Angelica witnessed the escalation and even let Joynes hide in a truck. But even then, the aggressors followed, banging on her truck and their weapons out. She called 911, yet no one was arrested, nobody charged, not one single consequence at the scene. Despite the danger, despite the threats, despite nearly flipping a semi-truck down a hill. The press conference detailing this was emotional. Joynes reportedly broke down while recounting what happened, and from the outside it feels like this was more than just a dispute. It reflected how thin the line can be between ordinary work and extraordinary violence. Now let's talk about the update. You see, here is the latest. The White family allegedly involved is reportedly facing major legal blowback. Lawsuits are underway and the public response has been fierce. People who once may have believed their actions were protected under some unwritten code of ownership or superiority are now discovering that optics, accountability, and the internet don't forget. This isn't about revenge, it's about reckoning. If the roles were reversed, there's little doubt the story will have ended differently and probably much sooner. So what are we looking at here, EcoFam? It's not just one man versus one family. It's labor right, it's racial dynamics, it's unchecked power and how communities often protect their own, even when their own are in the wrong. When we talk about systemic protection, we have to ask, who benefit from the system as is. Because if you can pull a weapon, threaten a worker, nearly flip his truck and walk away without a single charge, what does that say about who is considered innocent and who is presumed guilty? We're going to keep following this story. It's heartbreaking, but it's also revealing. These are the moments that are tests. No, what I'm trying to say, that these are the moments that test our collective conscience, and they should make us ask deeper questions about race, justice, and power in America. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And again, shout out to the creators and voices who stitched this together and gave it reach. This is Echo Room Vibes, and we'll be back soon. From Echo Room Vibes once again, peace out.